Hello, everyone. Welcome to the AA meeting. I'm Affan. This is.
I'm Asjad.
And we are meeting to talk about Zack Snyder's Justice League and how some of the side-by-side comparisons, some of the things that were different, some of the things that I liked, some of the things that Asjad liked. And we're going to go in detail why we liked those things as well. And do let us know in the comments down below whether you enjoyed the Zack Snyder's cut more than the original one. I think we all know the answer to that. But also some of the scenes that were your favorite. I'm going to start off by talking about the opening scene. That was quite easily one of my favorite scenes. I've already told you, Asjad, about this. And I haven't given you any reasons, though, so I'll give you my reasons. So here's the thing. I mean, first off, we're going to do a little bit of a comparison, right? So the opening scene in the original or the theatrical cut of Justice League was, you know, Superman with the kid with the phone, and the kid is asking Superman, what does the S mean? Now, and then another kid jumps in and says, have you killed a hippo? So for me, the opening scene is supposed to set the mood for the rest of the movie. And when that happens, and also the mustache, by the way, CGI off mustache, I mean, the expectation right there is set very low for the movie. And also the colors in that scene, if you look at it, they're quite bright. And that's not, I mean, the last movie was BVS. That wasn't a bright movie. That wasn't a happy movie. And so that scene tells you that, okay, this movie is supposed to be a continuation of the last one, but it's nothing like the last one. And so it's sort of disconnected from the world that is already created. Then we move over to Zack Snyder's Justice League. And right away, I mean, it's just basically you take the ending of BVS and, well, not the ending, but that very important scene in BVS, and you just continue it. It feels like you're just continuing that movie. It's sort of a recap. You know, when you have a TV show and it sort of says previously on Arrow or whatever show you like to watch, right? It's sort of that. You don't feel like it's a different movie. You feel like it's just a continuation of the last movie. And about that mood, I mean, the colors are unsaturated, or not highly saturated or high contrast. It's a bit dark. You get to see Superman in pain. I mean, when it opens up, you get to see Superman. He's screaming, right? He's in agony. You see the pain. You see the horror that is going around. Half of the city is destroyed. You see Wonder Woman. You see Batman. You see Lois. So you're given a little bit of a recap, right? And then he's screaming, and his screams are booming in the streets of, you know, the city. And the city is pretty much on fire, right? So right there, he set the mood. Zack Snyder have set the mood for the rest of the movie. And it is pretty much the same world as the last movie, which was BVS. And then from there on, you sort of follow the screams of Superman, right? There's this ripple that is going through, and you then get to see Cyborg for the first time. And Cyborg is sitting there, and the scream is coming his way, and then the scream sort of stops, and the mother box wakes up, right? Then you move on to the next scene. By the way, that whole sequence horrified me. That's what I'm saying. It set the mood for the rest of the movie, and it told me this ain't a movie for kids, right? So from the get-go, it was completely different from the theatrical cut. From Cyborg, then we move on to Lex Luthor, and he's there, and he's seeing Steppenwolf, and the three mother boxes come up, and they wake up, and they're sort of joining into one. And that is very important because, well, if you remember in BVS, at the end, Batman goes to see, or Bruce Wayne goes to see Lex Luthor, and that's when he finds out about, you know, the whole thing that is going to happen in the next movie. So that's why that is important. Then you move on to Atlantis, down in the ocean, and the scream goes there as well. Same exact thing that happened with Cyborg happens with the Atlanteans as well. The scream comes their way, it goes away, the box wakes up. Then we move on to Themyscira with the Amazons guarding the mother box. Same exact thing. So you see it actually happening, and you understand why the mother boxes wake up. And that's why I think that scene is so important and also one of my favorite scenes, because that scene has substance and that scene has meaning, right? It's not a scene. If you remove that scene from that movie, well, you've messed up your entire plot. But if you remove that first scene in the theatrical cut with the mustache, well, it doesn't matter, right? The movie doesn't change this much because this is the third movie. Before that, we've already got an entire movie based on Man of Steel, so I already know what the S means. I don't need to be told what the S means, right? So that scene is just meaningless. It has no substance. It might as well not be there. Whereas this scene sets up the entire movie. It sets up the scenes. It shows you Superman in pain. I mean, how many times have you seen the Man of Steel in physical pain, right? You saw him in emotional pain in the Man of Steel movie. You saw him in physical pain in the BVS as well. But you're getting a little bit of a recap of everything that he is going through. And so you're being reminded that he is not invulnerable. He is not, this god that we think that he is. And that's why I think it's so important. I think I've gone long enough. I think it's your turn.
Right. First off, this was far superior to the Josstice League, as I've heard and said all over nowadays. There were so many scenes, but I've tried to pick a couple, and I've tried not to concentrate on fights. What I'm going to pick is specifically the nightmare sequence. So, in BVS, we had the nightmare sequence where Batman sees a vision of the future, and then he sees Barry Allen coming into the Batcave and saying, am I here? Am I too early? You have to save her, all that stuff, right? Now, that was not mentioned throughout the Josstice League at all in the theatrical cut. But in this film, he actually sits there and Wonder Woman's standing behind him. And he's like, I saw Barry Allen. I saw Barry Allen here telling me that Lois is the key. But I think there's something darker, which is kind of giving you that kind of development in Batman's character. He's actually sharing his thoughts with this person he's now, kind of involved with within the Justice League, right? And he's kind of trusting them and telling them, okay, this happened to me. That's why I thought we need to unite. We need to get this all together. And on top of that, we saw eventually the build up to, the crescendo, the ending, which I'll get to. Don't worry. I'm going to get to that. But in the epilogue, which is the final bit where they show that dystopian future, the one that, he saw in his vision in BVS, we finally saw not a resolution, but something develop in that timeline, for lack of a better term. And when we saw Batman with, Mira, Cyborg, Deathstroke, Flash, right? It was maddening. It was absolutely brilliant because you don't expect those guys those characters to work with each other, right? And this time they actually are. And Batman's there. He's like, yeah, we needed to be here, or whatever dialogues, right? And then you hear Joker, right? The laugh that Jared Leto's Joker does. Yes, he wasn't the best Joker you've ever seen in Suicide Squad, right? But the thing that he did here was kind of go up that ladder of, where a character comes back to life. And I think he's actually done that with this, 5-minute epilogue scene with Batman. I haven't seen Batman and Joker together in a scene in 13 years. And I finally got to see that. And the way they've kind of set that scene up, the way Jared Leto speaks about Bruce Wayne's parents, Robin, right? They finally referenced Robin, how he died, who killed him and everything. Okay. It was a lot of things paid off there. Yes, there's a lot more to pay off. On top of that, you also had the fact that we found out Harley Quinn in this timeline is dead, right? Harley Quinn told Batman, yeah, you got to kill
him
Joker.
Slowly, yeah.
Yeah, kill him slowly. And that was fantastic. And then, obviously, Batman drops an F-bomb, which is something that purists like me would say, you can't have Batman swear. You can't have Batman do this. However, on the basis of this film being that good, it's meant to be R-rated. Batman had to say it.
It's not. It's not the Batman that we normally see, though. It's a beat-up Batman, right? It's a Batman who's kind of tired with the world in a way. Do you know what I mean? He just doesn't give a shit anymore.
Exactly. And now we saw this Batman in that type of situation where he has to now work with the Joker, his arch enemy, since however many years, at least 20, 25 years within that specific timeline. So we saw that, and that kind of interaction, just something that we didn't see in the theatrical cut. We had no mention of Batman's past, nothing to do with Joker. We had a line about the Penguin. right? We had a line about the penguin, and that's about it, right? That was all all Joss Whedon wrote. Another scene I really want to mention is, it's not really a scene. It's actually character development. We all know Cyborg finally has a story. He's known as the heart of this movie, right? The Flash finally showed his actual, science prowess, number one, his criminology skills, and on top of that, his understanding of how the Speed Force works, right? We had one mention of the Speed Force in the theatrical cut, and it didn't pay off. It didn't pay off at all. In this, we saw that payoff. He mentioned when they were at, Superman's ship. He's standing there. He's like, when I approach the speed of light, weird things happen to time. And if weird things are happening to time, he understands what's going to happen. And that's when we saw, when he was running, I think when Cyborg got another premonition. So see, premonitions throughout this movie actually setting something or a darker future up, worst timeline kind of talk. And you have Flash at the back of the ship or wherever he is. He runs full speed. And just as the time goes, he's about to touch the mother box that's being planted into the liquid, whatever you want to call it, the water, whatever it is, right? The fluid, right? And just as it goes into the water, right, it comes back up because the Flash has approached the speed barrier, right? He's gone faster than the speed of light, and he's turned back time. And he passes the entire Speed Force into that one finger to push into the mother box, and then sparks fly, and then Superman flies. Right. That scene just made it everything. I know the scene in the theatrical cut was very similar, but there were no connotations. There was no, I think exposition is the right word. There wasn't explanation behind any of this.
And that movie, in the original cut, Flash was kind of an idiot. I mean, he didn't really know anything. The jokes that he made were crap too. I mean, everything he did, like that scene with Wonder Woman, it was just all cringe. Like, I'm like, what's going on here? And I mean, he's supposed to be sort of that weird teenager character, but give him some respect. I mean, the guy is actually smart. He's intellectually smart, so don't just make him look like a complete idiot, which is what they made him look like. And this movie, like you explained, they showed that he has understanding of, well, not everything, but some of the things that were going on in that situation.
No, there's a rhythm that people like to talk. Like, I was like, why is that even in the movie? Why is that even in the movie? And I don't know if you noticed this, and I know this isn't one of my favorite scenes, but I just want to mention it. In the theatrical cut, when Batman threw the Batarang at him, he slowed down, did everything, grabbed it, and then there was a cut scene where he's like, "You're the Batman." In this specific movie, in Zack Snyder's Justice League, we saw the entire scene where he grabs the Batarang, he moves back into position, he looks at it, and then they have that conversation. There was no K-pop music in the background. I have nothing against K-pop, but there was no K-pop music in the background, right? It actually looked like a guy's garage or whatever, wherever he was living, but it wasn't as...
Another thing about that specific scene, if you look at the length of this scene in the Zack Snyder's cut and the one in the original one, they're both the exact, well, not the exact, but they're similar size. So they show you the whole sequence, right? Like you said, you see him throw the Batarang and you see the whole thing happen. But it's still the same amount of time they take. And the reason behind that is there's that whole stupid dialogue about brunch that Joss Whedon has that Zack Snyder completely cuts out. Instead, he shows you the actual scene completely, right? The scene that matters. The brunch, that doesn't matter at all. Why are you even showing us that? So, it just shows that editing matters a lot.
Yeah, editing, that it's not just the direction. Zack Snyder said it. He was like, I shot a 5-hour film, right? It's the edit. Right. It's the edit that matters. And at the end of it, now we've got this 4-hour, 2-minute. I'm going to call it masterpiece. People don't agree with me, but I'm going to call it. It is probably Zack Snyder's best, if not second best piece of film that I've seen. For me, Man of Steel is one of my favorite movies. So,
I like 300 quite a lot.
300 was good. 300 was right.
I like Gerard Butler too, anyways.
Oh well, you know, for Sparta, right? Okay,
by the way, his abs were CGI'd in that movie.
back to the movie, and the final thing I want to talk about is the villains. Right, in the theatrical cut, we saw Steppenwolf as a caricature, a video game villain, where he was just
that's not fair, by the way. If you've played the Arkham series, the villains in those games are incredible. They're amazing.
Let me rephrase that. Bad video game villain, right? If you just look at him, just the way he's designed and everything, that's completely messed up. That's not what I would have expected from, the Justice League is fighting a villain. Yes. They're not fighting some like side character, okay? And the way he was portrayed, he comes in, one of his first lines is "mother," right? It's like, what are you doing, man? Like that doesn't make sense. In the Zack Snyder's Justice League, we saw as soon as Steppenwolf drops into that place in Themyscira, right? First thing, you see the imposing figure he is. He's a bulky, big. He's the Hulk with armor that has like automated like things on it, right?
Armor, yeah, a living, breathing armor, yeah.
Exactly, and the way that it's very scary. If I was there, I'd be scared, right? I'd be petrified of this guy.
No. If I was there, first off, I won't be
there.
Yeah, because I'd be dead. So I'm the first guy to die, all right? And no one will kill me. I'll die of a heart attack just looking at him, all right?
That's the thing. He is absolutely terrifying, right? And then he just comes back and he's like, do you have fear? I can't remember exactly the dialogue, but basically he's a lot more imposing than he is in the in the theatrical cut. And his development
he's a real character,
That's the biggest thing. Yeah. You notice, and sorry to cut you off, but all I want to mention with regards to Steppenwolf, what do we know from the previous film, right? All we know is that Steppenwolf was a random alien who is now on Earth, and
for some reason he wants to destroy the Earth.
Exactly. We have no idea why. Now we know that he was a general of Darkseid, right? Darkseid is the big villain. Yeah. He has an assistant or whatever you would call it called Desaad, right? He has Granny Goodness in the background chilling with them, right? And then on top of that, he's been casted out because it seems like he was trying to take the throne from Darkseid. So that's what it looks like. And at least there's some sort of dialogue, some sort of context to why Steppenwolf is doing what he's doing.
Story, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Rather than, mother, right? Let's not even go there. But
you also get the story of Darkseid. You also get why, and the reason why they're so obsessed with Earth and why this right now is the right time. So you get to see the sequence that happens, that happened a long time ago. The three mother boxes come together, and then Themyscirans and Amazon. I mean, they're the same people. Atlanteans, Themyscirans, or the Amazons, and the men and the gods, and they all come right. They all come together. But now, and he mentions this. All those guys are gone. The last one remaining was Kryptonian Superman. Yeah. And now he's gone as well. And that's why his cry wakes up the mother box.
Fantastic. That's what I'm saying. That scene you mentioned is probably my favorite scene in the movie as well.
Oh, another thing. Speaking of these characters that were in this one that we didn't really get to see in the original one was, I forget the general's name, but we find out, the whole Lois and Martha scene, and in the original one, Lois just gets called thirsty. And this one, you have that whole scene, and it's a very important scene. But what makes that scene even more important is what happens right after that scene, when he walks out, and that you're like, what? What? I mean, it makes sense because that's his power. He can be anyone. Yeah. And then at the end of the movie, you get to see Martian Manhunter talking to Bruce Wayne and, saying that in the future. So basically that's then them setting up what might happen in the future. But that was like a mind blown kind of scene,
To be honest, I agree with you because initially they wanted Green Lantern to show up in the movie. But specifically, the studio had asked them, you can't mention Green Lantern, you can't have Green Lantern as a character. Because they have a movie,
right, coming up?
Movie, HBO Max special, they don't know exactly.
Yeah.
Something like that.
around that guy, right?
Exactly. So they can't have him in here, but they had Martian Manhunter. And I love the fact that before he flew off with Batman, he's like, you can call son, you can call me Martian Manhunter, and then he flies off like a proper superhero ending. And I was like, yeah, that's how you end the movie. You don't need any other scenes, and it was perfect. It was great.
Man, I just hope we're gonna wrap the video up and just final thoughts. I just I love the movie. You've already said it's a masterpiece. I wouldn't go that far, but it was a great movie. I enjoyed it. I mean, I just don't get it. Like, if the studio loses money, the people who are hurt by it the most are the executives. So I don't understand why they would make such a decision. But it is what it is. And I'm glad that finally we got Zack Snyder's original vision. And, all these things, the epilogue you talked about, all these things, the Martian Manhunter, it's basically setting up the universe and setting up what will happen in the future. But here's the thing, this is not the original movie. Now, will those things happen? I hope they do, but I don't know if they will. What do you think about that? We'll just end it on that.
I think they should, but they won't. It's like the Pakistan cricket board, right? There's so many things you got to do, but they just don't do it. It's something that I want so much, but I know I can't get. That's what it is, and it's not meant to be canon. Zack Snyder said it, that this is meant to be the Elseworld story, when this actually should have been canon. This should have been Earth Prime, and the theatrical cut is, I don't know, Earth 2006, because I don't want that movie.
Right. So I guess I'm leaning more towards it's not going to happen, but I really want it to happen. But
agreed. That's fantastic. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching. Affan, any last words?
No.
All right, sounds good. Absolutely perfect. Right.
No, thank you for watching. Do let us know, by the way, what were some of your favorite scenes, or just little things like the Martian Manhunter. There's just a small little scene, but it made such a big impact, for me at least. So things like that you really liked. And man, let's get a hashtag going and get this universe to be the main universe, just like we started the hashtag release the Snyder Cut. Fans, I mean, this just shows that fans have the power. Democracy in it.
love the in it in there as well.
Yeah, in it, blood.
Right.
All right, no, we got to have an outro, like
Right, let me think. Until next time, and then bye.
Until next time, bye. Oh, and let us know any other movies or TV shows or stuff like that. Marvel, DC, whatever. We love both. I won't say equally, but we do love both. So we'll do that stuff too. We enjoy comic books. We enjoy movies. We enjoy film. I'm a huge Witcher fan as well. So we could do stuff like that. If you're interested in that, do let us know in the comments down below. And until then,
bye.
This is when you come in. It can't just all be me, bro. I'll say until then, and then you say something, and that's it. We finish. So you're just going to say bye? Oh, wow. Bye, huh? Looks like this video was written by Joss Whedon.